Worthy is the Lamb. Amen. Worthy is the Lamb.
Man.
Let's turn to Psalms 119 and 71. Psalms 119, starting at verse 71. Psalms 119, verse 71. Let's see. Probably read from the Message Bible today. Let's see. I may need to switch it up. Okay. I'm trying to switch the microphone. You want to move it back? Okay, it says, it is good for me that I had been afflicted, that I might learn your statute. It was good for me. It was necessary. It pushed me. It was good for me. Like, I know sometimes we think, how is it possible to that pain? There's something good. Like, why would God want us to be in pain? Like, some people say, well, I thought I was saved. I thought I was in a better place, so I should have been exempted from what I'm currently going through or what I just came out of, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the affliction makes us better. The affliction connects us to God. It matures us. And sometimes we wonder why we're going through the same things over and over. We have to change our response to the affliction when it comes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
My response is wrong. I don't have time to throw in the white flag out there. I don't have time to quit. I don't have time to sit a season. Yeah, sitting is out, right? And I even preached before, sitting is a type of death. It's a spiritual death. When you sit down on God, and when you refuse to move forward in God, right? That you're inactive, right? There's no flow going on. There's no connection with God. You're miserable too, and the people that's connected to you are miserable too because you're sitting, right? There's no activity. And then when you're sitting as a leader, guess what? You literally cut off, right, the flow that was being connected to the people you were feeding. Right now, they're spiritually malnourished based off your disobedience. Purposeful pain, man. There's purpose in the pain. There's purpose in the affliction. Look at this. Look at the definition for purpose, right? It was a goal. It's an intentional. Some things are intentional to sharpen you, to make you better.
Yes.
To intend a fixed outcome, right? I know, like, see, have you tried my servant Job, right? There's a fixed outcome, right?
Yeah.
Right? I placed the hedge of protection around him, but God moved the hedge of protection because there was a fixed outcome, right? I'm coming to tell anybody that's watching, anybody that's here, like there's an expiration date on what you're currently going through. It won't last as long as you think.
Thank you, Lord.
Right? There was a fixed outcome. So when there's a fixed outcome, even in my prayer time, you have a practical advantage, right? Because there's an expiration date on it, right? You know that trouble won't last always, right?
Right.
So you have an advantage of knowing that God is going to be faithful no matter what you're going through. Affliction is defined, right? Things that which causes or tends to cause bodily pain or mental distress, right? The state of being in pain or trouble, that's affliction, right? The mind battles, the broken relationships, people talking about you, people lying on you, people assassinating your character, right? That's pain. That's a type of affliction, right? A type of persecution. So in my notes, look, we will all suffer heartache, disappointment, and lack, and some type of rejection.
Wow.
It's going to happen, right? But our response to us, like, our response to the pain, our response to the rejection, our response to the lack, lets us know how close we are to God and how mature we are in the faith. Let that thing sharpen you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will all suffer heartache, right? We all have it. And anybody that's watching, anybody that's here, we all have went through heartaches and pains and disappointment and lack, not having enough, and not knowing how ends are going to be met and all those different things, right? But that affliction births wisdom and understanding. If you stay in there and be faithful, right? And not crying and not woe is me, but I'm talking about if you really be faithful when you're being tested, right? That's going to birth understanding.
Yes.
That's going to birth wisdom. And then imagine when you're tested again in the same area, you already know, right? That God had never leave you, He never forsake you, right? Turn to 2 Corinthians 4 and 16. 2 Corinthians 4 and 16. Therefore, we do not become discouraged, spiritless, disappointed, or afraid, though our outer self is progressively wasting away. Yet our inner self is being progressively renewed day by day. For our momentary light distress, in other versions it will say light affliction.
Mm-hmm.
This passing trouble, it has an expiration date on it. It's producing for us an eternal weight of glory, a fullness beyond all measure, surpassing all comparisons, a transcendent splendor, and an endless blessedness.
Yeah.
When we stay faithful, when we stop complaining, when we just work on God getting the glory out of our circumstance. Yeah, you're going through. Yeah, you're full of pain. Yeah, the relationship didn't work. Yes, the marriage didn't work. Yes, they lied on you. Yes, I know you want to be in a better job. And I know you want more money, but if you stay faithful,
Yeah.
right? God will make sure, He will make sure that He takes care of you. And that's the type of God we have. He doesn't forget about you. He has thoughts and plans. Nothing just happens without God knowing about it, right? So this affliction, this thing that I go through, it gives me wisdom, and it gives me the spiritual stamina to finish this race called life, right? Don't you want to be effective at finishing, or aren't you tired of putting things down and not finishing, and wavering in your faith?
Mm-hmm.
One minute you're up and you're running aggressively after the things of God, and then when affliction hits, you sit down on your anointing and your gifts, or you're waiting for people to come out of town and lay your hands on you.
Wow.
And pour oil over your head, right? But God is saying, I want to do this thing now.
Yes, Lord.
Yeah, I prophesy for the next blessing over your life. Yeah, that once you get up, I prophesy the next blessing, that the blessing shall overtake you and your house.
Lord.
Right? After you start to begin to put down that white flag and right, say, God, that yes is so costly. And I keep teaching on that. That you, when is the last time you told God yes? Right? You can't waver on that thing, right? Whether you sitting, right, that warfare still comes along with that yes that you gave God. Whether it was years ago, months ago, weeks ago, or days ago. Yes is costly, right? So there was a purpose, right? There was it was all a part of God's design. I'm going through this affliction. He knew that you wouldn't want to know Him unless the affliction came. If everything went well in your life, I talked before, if everything happened the way that you thought it should go, would you really want to know God?
Right.
Like I said, we're not trying to be famous. We're not trying to have sons and daughters. We're not trying to be on billboards. We're trying to be effective on our assignments. We're going to teach the Word of God in season and out of season.
Amen.
So here, we're not into the theatrics, but we are here to do life. We're going to teach you how to do the life. And God has gave me this powerful sermon this morning, but the pain was purposeful.
Yeah.
It was all a part of His plan. Look, trials teach us what we are and what we're made of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to know what you're made of. You want to know if you're mature. You want to know if you're all spiritually deep and all those things. Go through something. Yeah, go through something that shakes you to your core.
Right.
And I always tell this testimony, or periodical, I tell it. My wife, we went through something that shook us to our core in 2017. Multiple different things in 1 year. It was almost like it was never ending. But we decided to put our minds together and to unify. And I'm telling you, when you decide to unify, you start to stand on God's word.
Yeah.
There's nothing can be withheld from you. There's nothing can keep you in a place of being broken. There's nothing can keep that storm to continuously wipe out everything in your life. I promise you, once you stand in position.
Right.
And this is a kingdom type, impactful type sermon. Like the things of God, He wants you to keep moving forward, not sitting.
Right.
You don't have time to sit down. You don't have time to shut the church down. You don't have time for that. That's for the leaders. You don't have time to close those church doors. We need you. We need more impactful leaders, right? And for the innocent, it's not time for you to stop praying. I know you're hurting. I know you're in pain. It's time for the prophets to prophesy, right? But a lot of times when we get tested, a lot of us are so used to quitting when we get tested.
Right.
Purposeful at my pain. The affliction made me better. So it was good for me. It was good for me. There was a testimony, David said. It was good that it happened to me. It was good that the affliction came. I didn't like how I felt when I was going through the affliction, but it made me better.
Yeah.
That's a place of maturity. That the affliction made me a better person. The affliction put me in a position where I can help others. Look, and I said down here, it said, your yes will cost you.
Yes.
And it does not, your yes does not exempt you from persecution.
Well.
Your yes does not exempt you from going through. Right? That Wednesday and Sunday, yes, I pay my tithes and you over all these auxiliaries, it does not exempt you from persecution or lack or going through anything in this world. I promise you. Then another thing, we got to start thinking of our affliction as a trial or a training. Put it in perspective, right? Start thinking of our affliction as a training.
Mm-hmm.
God is preparing you for your place in Him, your rightful position. Right? We always say promotion. We like to even prophesy that. It's like so catchy and it's so cute when we prophesy that, but nobody wants to prepare you for the affliction when it comes. The titles is good and all those good things, the politics and all those different things, but nobody ever talks about the persecution that comes with the call.
Right.
That you can wear the garments. Yeah, you can have oil poured on your head all day. You can have people lay hands on you. But it's the trials and the tribulations that makes you better. And then the thing about it, this is for somebody, and I got in my notes, he wasn't even breaking you. He was building you up.
Yes.
You thought she was broken, but he was setting you up for promotion.
Yes.
Yeah, he was building you up, right? If it wasn't for the struggle, like, look, you wouldn't have the strength that you have now. I'm raising my hand first to that. If I didn't have the struggle, if I didn't have the affliction, there's nowhere I'd be able to stand up here and look at the camera or look at the people in this building. I promise you. So the affliction made me better. The affliction made me a better leader and a better father and a better husband. The affliction was necessary. There was a song that me and my wife liked when it first came out some years ago. It was necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I am who I am today.
Right.
I don't know if anybody has that testimony. I am who I am today, right? Because I went through something that shook me to my core, and it made me want to know God. And now I'm running aggressively towards God, and I'm every day I'm building a closer relationship with Him. And every time I get an opportunity, I'm trying to tell people about Him.
Yeah.
Based off what I went through. Based off me seeing God in the affliction. Right? Look, trials help us persevere. Trials help us get through and finish. Not just get through, not just surviving, but trials help us help us thrive. There's a thriving. And once we connect our minds to it right, once we look at our trials the right way, once we look at our affliction the right way, right, it helps us to finish.
Yeah, that's good.
It helps us to push through. James 1:12. We're going to give you a word so you can apply it to your life. Blessed, happy, spiritually prosperous, favored by God is the man who is steadfast under trial. I'm going to read this again.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed means happy, spiritually prosperous, favored by God is the man who is steadfast under trial and perseveres when tempted. Yeah, I know you want to throw in that white towel. I know you want to quit. I know you're tired of going through. Right? I know there's churches closing down. I know pastors are resigning and quitting. But I refuse to quit. No matter what's going on. It's like my mind is made up. That favor of God when you stand in your rightful place. And you refuse to quit. And you refuse to give into temptation of quitting. For when he has passed the test, has been approved, right? He will receive the victor's crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him.
Yeah.
Not only on this end, I'm storing up heavily in riches when I go through faithfully. We don't teach on it enough, like heaven's gain, eternal life, right? I have things waiting on me on the other side.
Right.
That's how I stay motivated. That's how I push through. That's how I refuse to quit, because I know God is faithful. And I want to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. How can you be faithful if you're sitting?
Well,
how are you committed sitting? How are you committed when you easily put down the things of God, your assignment? You do it easily. You put down your assignments easily. You go into your flesh very easily, right? Trials help us persevere. It helps me finish. See, we have a powerful God that blesses those who patiently endure in testing and temptation. I'm talking about patient, long suffering.
right.
That's one of the marks. That's one of the characteristics of a believer, right? I can go through something that shakes me to my core, but I stay faithful. I won't quit. I won't give up. God, I know what you're showing me. And I have yet to see a manifestation of what you're saying you're going to do through me and for my family, but I'm staying faithful because I know you can't lie.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in character. I'm still going to be upbeat. I'm still going to be full of joy. I'm still going to do things in excellence. I'm still going to love my family the right way, my wife the right way, right? Even Galatians, you can put this in your notes. Galatians 6 and 9, it's saying don't be weary in doing good.
Yeah.
Do not be weary. Do not be faint at heart. Do not quit. Do not give up. We had so many different tests and we had so many different trials, had so many different persecution, even in our ministry. And then God wanted to, we don't feel like we was like even well known enough, and then God allowed for us to have a building. Keeps expanding. That's what God, he's so faithful. Mm-hmm. People, they don't even know you, don't even know who you are, but they've been watching you the whole time and watching how you do life. They say, hey, we feel compelled to release this thing to you. Yeah. What kind of God does that? That's a faithful God. So don't be weary in doing well. And I feel like that's the season that we are in. We always talk like God is coming back. We always say that. We have people that even predicted the end time. But you have to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit in this hour. I don't know how close we are, but I can tell you we're in a dangerous position to be sitting.
Yeah.
You don't have the time. You don't have time to lick your wounds. Yeah, it may have been, even if it's self-inflicted. You don't have time to be woe is me right now. This is a dangerous time to sit.
Yeah.
This is a dangerous time to not know who you are in God. This is a dangerous season to be connected to the wrong relationships and the wrong people.
Right.
This is a wrong season for that. But happy is a man, right, who don't walk in the counsel of ungodly folk and receive ungodly counsel, nor stand up in the seat of the scornful. For he delights in the law of the Lord, right? He delights in the law of the Lord. He loves it, right? Every single day. And God has promised us how we get rooted and grounded by like a tree planted by the rivers of living water. Key word, living, right? So you can be connected to things that's not living. You can be connected to things that have no life. And I don't even know why we would do that, right? Why would you want to be connected to something that's at no value to you? And you're looking for affirmation. You're looking for them to like almost like they can tell you when it's time for you to get up, when it's time for you to get up and do the things of God, when it's time for you to really maximize your full potential of God, right? You're connected to the wrong people. You're connected to the wrong people when you start doing well and they're offended by your growth. And sometimes we have affliction because we refuse to disconnect from ungodly people, ungodly soul ties. And we know we're supposed to disconnect. We know we're supposed to have the difficult conversation, letting that person go in 2019. But yet we have went into 2020, right, with ungodly thoughts, ungodly relationships. But we wonder why the affliction has been persistent. Right? You're connected to the wrong people. And some of you are connecting with people for promotional reasons. Right? You name drop. You want to be connected to the hot church with no anointing. Everybody stays in the same condition. The affliction is going to come that way as well. You're going to church because you want to use a microphone. You want a title. You want the piece of paper, but you don't want God's hand on you. Affliction is going to come that way as well. But to the faithful believers, to the faithful disciples, right? Hold on, keep pushing. Don't quit. Keep pursuing God aggressively. Keep teaching, keep prophesying, keep worshiping. Stay faithful. And stay in position for the release. This is the year of the release, and God gave me that word for the house in 2019. That 2020 will be the year of release. You won't fight for it. You won't fight to be blessed. You won't fight to be promoted.
Yes, Lord.
You won't fight for the job. You won't fight for the pay increase. This is not always about monetary value, but God won't let you be mocked in this hour. I hear the Spirit of God even talking now that He won't allow for you to even be mocked. You won't be, you look, this is a year where you're set up for everything that God put on the inside of you. But you got to change your response to what you've been going through. Yeah, God, I thank you for the persecution. I thank you, Lord, for the relationship that didn't work. You gotta think about how faithful God is. I thank God for the relationship that didn't work because you'll still be in bondage. And you won't be faithful on your assignment. You won't be where you are now if you stay connected to the wrong person. Yes, it hurt. Yeah, the pain was there. But don't you thank God for disconnecting you and from people that didn't mean you any good? People that didn't want to see you grow? People that get jealous every time you got promoted or something good happened in your life? Disconnect yourself from people who remind you of your yesterday. They won't celebrate your today. Won't celebrate your wins. They get quiet when you get blessed. They're just like almost like you can't reach them by phone or anything. They disappear when things start going right in your life. But as soon as they hear things start happening in a negative way. They hitting your phone up again, or they inboxing you, or whatever. Right? Disconnect from those up and down type people, those hot and cold, those lukewarm type people and believers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We taught on lukewarm Christianity before. We talk on the damage that it does to be 1 foot in and 1 foot out, right? But God wants committed people. So we're talking about purposeful affliction, right? And sometimes, all right, we go through affliction because we're not consistent. We're not committed to what God has given us, that assignment. We want everything to be work. We want a church full of people. We want everybody here serving. We want all the resources, but we don't want to put in the work.
Yeah.
But there's an anointing on your life to produce. There's an anointing on your life to be productive. There's an anointing on your life to speak those things as though they were not. There's a more than a conqueror's anointing over your life. Right? In Psalms 1, he's saying, look, I will make sure if you stay rooted and grounded in me, that you're producing every season.
Right.
If you're having a season of lack, you're not connected to the Most High. He said in every single season, I'll make sure you're productive. I'll make sure you have more than enough. I'll make sure your leaves won't wither. That's a promise of God, right? When we're faithful, when we're committed, right, we can pull on the promises of God. We can remind God, hey, this is what you told me in 2019. Mm-hmm. You said this would be my year of release. God, I need those blessings to start overtaking me. I need those windows open, Lord. I need to be so blessed, Lord, I can bless other people. God, keep your right hand upon me, Lord. I just want to be effective on my assignment. Right? We can remind God of this is what your word declares. By refusing, I refuse to sit here and die. Right? Like the 4 lepers, I don't want to sit here and die. I don't want to be the outside of the blessing anymore. Right? Because your sinning causes you to be the outside of what God is doing. Right? You'll never experience the fullness of God's sitting. You're out of position. How can somebody release something to you if you're sitting down? Look, sometimes we have to admit we just don't know, and instead of going crazy and trying to find out why, we must trust in the Lord that He knows what's best for us. We don't know why we're going through. We don't know what the why is. We don't know why it's happening. We don't know why it happened. We don't know why it continues to be in a cycle. But I got to trust God that you got a plan for my life. Jeremiah 29 and 11, that you're thinking about me. I'm not just going through this to go through. There's a strategy for this thing. I want to get all the instructions before I come out of this thing. But I just need people to connect with this word. Like it was purposeful pain. Like it causes you to have a different perspective on a different outlook. God, I think there's an expiration date on this thing.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 29 and 11, we know that. So he has thoughts and plans concerning you. Plans to prosper you. No matter what it looks like, no matter how difficult or broken you may be, he thinks about you. Some of us are afraid. We're afraid to do life by ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So we stay connected to unhealthy situations and relationships because we think nobody else will want us. Right? So we stay in that cycle of pain that way too. But that pain is not purposeful at all. You're just in a place of disobedience. You're in a place where you lack faith. Look at this, and I just said this really. Sometimes we suffer because of our own mistakes. Yeah. And the enemy will hold us hostage from the guilt of what we did to ourselves. But if you don't deal with the guilt of what kind of affliction you brought to your life or the mistake you made, or if you don't get over your past, right? You end up creating an atmosphere around you, right, that's not productive.
Right.
So you'll have unhealthy soul ties, unhealthy relationships, unhealthy ministries you're connected to. All because you refuse to allow God to be the Lord over all of your life. I'm talking about every single area, not some parts. So we suffer because of our own mistakes. We don't want God in our life, so we do our own thing. And I know so many people can attest to this. When you try to do life on your own, it did not work. Or you did life on your own and it appeared to be working. Then you're blindsided, one after another of attacks and affliction. Right? And sometimes that's God's way of pulling you out of something that's ungodly. Son or daughter, you don't even know what you're doing. You don't know how those decisions will impact you on a greater level when you get older. Mm-hmm. So I want to take you out of the circumstances before you ruin yourself. Mm-hmm. So we can suffer affliction. Now, like I said, there's no purpose in that when you do it to yourself. When you don't hand it over to God, there's no purpose in that pain or that affliction. So God wants, and sometimes we go through the affliction because God wants to make us humble, right? Even with Paul, right? I want you to move this thing from me. You know, my grace is sufficient, right? That thing troubled him. He wouldn't let that thorn be removed, right? Mm-hmm. Let's turn to 2 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 12 and 7. Because of the surpassing greatness and extraordinary nature of the revelations which I received from God, for this reason, to keep me from thinking of myself as important, a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to torment and harass me, to keep me from exalting myself. Mm. Sometimes we have to be even careful, like God, remove this and that, but that's the very thing that keeps you dependent upon God. We know how great Paul is, right? We talk about him, we're still talking about him now. That's been thousands of years ago, right? But look, hundreds of years ago. But look at this. If we study the character of Paul, no matter if he was in prison, he was being beaten or tormented, he still was faithful, he was committed. Because of the surpassing greatness and extraordinary nature of the revelations which I received from God, for this reason, to keep me from thinking of myself as important. I won't be puffed up. I won't think of myself highly. Don't we need more of that? So that's why I'm saying, that's why the pain is going to be purposeful. That's why the affliction can be purposeful. Because it won't allow me to put myself on a pedestal. I want to allow other people, no, I promise you I'm not that great. I promise you I'm not. But my Father is. Mm-hmm. So it kept you from being puffed up. It kept you from being high and mighty, right? Self-righteous, right? All because you have a title. All because some people know you. All because you got 2 or 3 people that like and share something. You're thinking of yourself more highly than you really are, right? So this thing put me in a mature place, right? The thorn, right? It may be troublesome. It may cause some conflict, but it keeps me humble. It keeps me dependent. It keeps me solely focused on God. And nothing else, no other source, no other way do I depend on. Let's go to 1 Peter. We getting close to closing, y'all. I hope y'all tuning in. 1 Peter 5, verse 6. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. Mm-hmm. Set aside self-righteous pride. It's right here. so that he may exalt you to a place of honor in his service. I'm trying to help y'all, right? I know it's not all like this glamorous thing, or this, it's not theatrical and all this good stuff, but this is going to help you do life. That's what we're talking about here. When we help you do life, this word of God is so powerful. It's to set aside self-righteous pride so that he may exalt you to a place of honor in his service. Let God exalt you. If that's his desire for you, right? Then, look, it says at the appropriate time. We refuse to even promote ourselves and start walking in something that we're not even graced to do unless God calls us. Because if he calls us, right, then we are equipped.
Yeah.
But if you call yourself, what are you equipped with? You're a talented person with no anointing. Let God call you at the appropriate time, right? So that means walking out in purpose and destiny without God's time and without God's approval causes affliction. Verse 7, casting all your cares, all your anxieties, right? I'm giving them everything. Whether I'm fearful, whether I'm dealing with rejection, whether I'm dealing with double-mindedness, or being lukewarm, being inconsistent, placing all your worries, all of your concerns once and for all on him, for he cares about you. Look, with deepest affection, and watches over you very carefully. No matter what you go through, no matter how disconnected you may think you are, he's still watching over you, right? He still cares about your life. Look, be sober, well-balanced, and self-disciplined. This is going to put you in a position for the release in this hour. This is going to shift you from the broken to better phase of your life.
Yeah.
Being well-balanced, having a prayer life, reading, receiving godly counsel, connecting with God-ordained, building God-ordained relationship. And being self-disciplined, not giving into any type of temptation. Right? Be sober, right? Be alert and cautious at all times, the tactics of the enemy. Look, because that enemy of yours, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, fiercely hungry, seeking someone to devour, seeking someone to embarrass, seeking someone to put on Facebook and say, hey, I thought she was a pastor. I thought this person was the apostle. See, that's why I don't go to church. They're looking to discredit the church. We can't give them room. Okay? Look, we have a God that he loves you so much, that's why he corrects you.
Yeah.
I know correction don't feel good, right? So, like I said, that's why the affliction was good. Because, God, if you didn't correct me where I was at, God, I probably wouldn't be here today. So he had to preserve your life. As in Proverbs, cherish her, wear thou around her neck, right? So you preserve thy life, right? Wisdom. God, give me the wisdom. Let me get something from this thing. God, I'm gonna come out of this thing better. Yeah, I'm tested. Yeah, God, I want to throw in the towel, but I refuse. But let me come out of this thing better. I refuse to have mind battles in 2020. I refuse to worry about what people say about me in 2020. Right? I refuse to do things for likes and shares and compromise in 2020. But I just need people to be in agreement. God, I'm going to reach my maximum potential in you this year. Not. I don't care if people see what I'm doing. God, I'm going to pray more in 2020. And be intentional about it. Be committed to the thing. For the pastors, for the leaders, no matter who shows up on a Sunday or Wednesday, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be committed. And I'm going to be full of the joy of the Holy Ghost. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be amped to preach and decree and declare your word. This year is about getting in place so you can have for what's rightfully yours. That's the kingdom.
Yeah.
Seek ye first. There's a principle there. Seek ye first the things of God. Everything else will be added. Right? We seek everything else, and we wonder why there's so much calamity, so many different things going on in the world. Are we not seeking ye first the kingdom? God, I want what you have for me. I don't want what this world have for me. I want to be promoted by men, God. For me to be impactful, for me to be effective, I need your hand upon me. Being rooted and grounded, like Psalms 1 said, I'm rooted and grounded with God so much that I know my God, our God is productive. So if I'm connected to the source, I'm connected to a source that doesn't run out.
Yeah.
I'm in a season of lack, but I expect a harvest. So it's really how you look at the thing, right? The affliction is based on how you look at it. It's your vision concerning it. It's your response concerning the affliction. I choose to think that it's making me better. God, I'm thanking you even now for the affliction. I think Lord, how it once broke me, but it was just you building me back up. I thought I was broken, but you was building me. You was shaping and molding me. I thank you, Lord, for even in my lowest circumstance, God, you was the potter some kind of way.
Yeah.
And you never threw me off of the wheel. Even when I wanted to get off the wheel for a season, you put me back on the wheel. You didn't throw me away. You kept using that same clay until I shaped it and you molded me into the person that you wanted me to be. I thank God for the trial. If 2017 had happened, I promise you we wouldn't be here. No matter how painful, no matter how hurt we were, we refuse to give up. That's who believers are. We don't quit. We don't give up because we're tested. We don't give up because people talk about us, because people don't believe in us. And we refuse to give up even if this building is never bad. We know what God says. And we're that crazy to stand in this place year after year and to say the same thing until we see the manifestation of what God has spoken over us. God wants to humble you when you go through. He's humbling you. He's making you better. Proverbs 3, we're closing soon. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 11 through 13. Trying to give you all I can. Proverbs 3, 11 through 13. My son, do not reject or take lightly the discipline of the Lord. Learn from your mistakes in the testing that comes from his correction through discipline. Think about it. Like, there's no way. You want promotion. You want the title. And it looks so glamorous. Right? We make it so cute as believers, right? Wednesday and Sunday. If you keep doing Wednesday and Sunday, right, that's not enough. Okay, I'm committed every single day, whether I'm in a church house or not. I refuse to give up on my assignment. I won't throw in the towel. We don't even know how we got here. Do you understand? You don't understand what God is doing supernaturally for this ministry. We're not supposed to be here. We didn't know the apostle. We didn't know the bishop. Apostle said we feel compelled. The Holy Spirit told me release this thing to you. Right? We had to stay in position for the release. I just need a few people that's crazy enough to get in position for what God has already trying to release to you. You won't have to fight for it, I promise you. Just get in position and watch God in this year. I won't be lukewarm. I won't be hot and cold. Right? I'm running aggressively. When you think nobody knows your name, when you think nobody's hearing you, right? When you think you're not qualified, or you don't have the right covering, or all these different politics that people want you to go through, or you haven't served enough, you haven't held enough water and Bibles, I promise you, God hears you, right? And this is for the people that's going through. I'm talking about people that have yet to step in position, and you're waiting for someone to validate you, a man, a woman to validate you. You waiting on a man or woman to come out of town and pour all over you and do a crazy ceremony and give you a piece of paper. When God is saying, no, my right hand is upon you right now. Get up, son. Get up, daughter. I speak prophetically to your life that God is doing the releasing even now if you get up. That when you get up, God starts to move on your behalf. Look, when you get up, right, everybody in your family gets up. I prophesy that to you now. When you start to move, it's going to be so supernatural that it's going to pull your family out of the grave place, out of the dead place, out of a place of inactivity. We got to look at our afflictions better. It matures you. It makes you better. Yeah, my affliction made me better, right? We come here to be intentionally. I told the apostle Lindler and Chapin this morning, we came to be intentionally disruptive. That's what we're doing this year. The apostolic uprising of called people, of called believers. We're coming to be intentionally disruptive, to disarm, right? To disconnect, right? We're coming. We're not coming any other reason but to disrupt, to uproot ungodly teachings, right? Any territorial demonic spirit, we come to uproot, right? To disengage it, right? To disarm. It will no longer be impactful or effective in this region, in the southeast region, right? I prophesy for the apostles and the prophets to start leading the uprising in their region even now, right? Shake yourself free from the emotional pain. Shake yourself free from everything that meant to hold you down, right? That kept you in a place of inactivity, right? Shake yourself free from that, from the mental anguish, right? From the mind battles, right? So look, I'm talking to only a few people. It happened to cause you to quit, so you won't get the release in 2020. It happened, whatever it was, it happened to get you to quit so you won't be in position for the release. God is saying you don't even know how close you are. I just need you to get up and start waving your hands, right? I just need you to get up and start moving around, even if you're in your living room, if you're in your car, start lifting your hands, right? You're literally shaking yourself free from your past and mental pain and the mental attacks. And some of you have been losing sleep. I prophesy that peace into your mind, even that peace into your life. Yeah, there was purpose in my pain. That was the sermon topic this morning. There was purpose in my pain. Right? The afflictions happen so that we are more dependent on God. We need God. Not yourself, not us, not the hot church, not the mega ministry, not the televangelist, not the word network, but you need God. That's what we're going to preach. We don't need us. We can't do nothing for you, but you need God. We are almost there. John 15 and 5. John 15 and 5. Look at this. I am the vine, and you are the branches. The one who remains in me, you steadfast in me. Don't quit on me. I'm going to keep my right hand on you. I'm trying to tell you what God is saying in my ear. I'm going to keep my right hand on you. As long as you stay connected to me, I'll make sure you produce.
Yeah.
The one who remains in me, and I in him bears much fruit. You'll be productive. And for otherwise, apart from me, disconnected from me, ungodly life outside of me that is cut off from vital union with me, you can do nothing.
Yeah.
When you disconnect yourself from God, when you sit on the anointing, when you sit on your purpose and you refuse to move forward, you disconnect yourself from your source. That continuous source in Psalms 1 that makes you productive, that's why you're not productive. God, I thought your word said that the word shall overtake me. Yes, for my obedient people, for my committed people.
Yeah.
The blessings of God, like purpose and destiny is looking for you. You just stepped out of position. You got time to get back up, but you don't have time to keep sitting. We can literally do nothing without God. Look, sometimes affliction happens at times because we have forgot about our first love.
Yeah.
We are doing a lot of church stuff, but we stop spending time with God.
Yeah.
I'm saying you can do Wednesday and Sunday. That's cute. You can wear your Sundays best, but your heart is so far away from God. Well, don't be confused of why the affliction is there, right? But sometimes we go through because we stop loving God like we used to. We stop doing the things, or we start doing the things. We start waking up in the morning and praying. We stop reading throughout the day. We're so full of zeal. We were so aggressive after the things of God. It's like we had to have them every single day, even multiple times throughout the day. Now we only talk to them on Wednesday and Sunday because that man or woman tells us to. Well, Revelations chapter 2. Revelation chapter 2. Hold on, y'all. We're almost finished. I just want you to get this. Revelations 2, verses 2 through 5. Look at this. I know your deeds and your toil and your patient endurance, and that you cannot tolerate those who are evil, and have tested and critically appraised those who call themselves apostles, special messengers, personally chosen representative of Christ, and in fact are not, and have found them to be liars and impostors, right? And I know that you who believe are enduring patiently and are bearing up for my name's sake, and that you have not grown weary of being faithful to the truth. Look at this. But I have this charge against you. I have this one ought, and in another verse, I have this one problem with you. This is to the believers. But I have this one charge against you, that you have left your first love.
Yeah.
You have lost the depth of love that you first had for me, right? When you first got saved, it's gone now. You don't do the same stuff. You don't feel the same way about me, and I know it. But you're in a position where you're still doing church things. You're still leading the church. You're still prophesying. You're still leading people do deliverance, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a disconnection between you and I now. Because you caught up doing church stuff, right? But there's a disconnection. So remember the heights from which you have fallen, and repent and change your inner self, your old way of thinking, your sinful behavior. Seek God's will and do the works you did at first when you first knew me. Look at this. If you refuse, you keep doing church stuff, and look, you want to keep doing this lukewarm type activity, this is what he's saying to you. He says, otherwise, I will visit you and remove your lampstand, the church, its impact from its place, unless you repent. So we talk about how pain was purposeful. This is what God is saying, right? You can do Wednesday and Sunday, right? And you can have a packed church, but your heart is far from me. I make sure your ministry is no longer effective. I make sure what you do is no longer productive. I make sure that you're in a season where your leaves starting to wither because you're no longer connected to me. Because you're connected to the wrong source, right? If you don't return to your first love and start doing the things that you used to do. Look, you said, because I know we said, look, you said, God, why did my marriage at the end? Why did the relationship at the end, right? He said, I was protecting you from a bigger problem. But I had to go through the embarrassment. You were too high up. You wasn't even praying no more. Why they talking about me? This stuff is not true. But when they talk about you, you come to me more and you pray. Let them keep talking, because it makes us closer. Don't you know they hired help? They hired to push you. You got to look at this thing right. Your opposition is nothing but hired help. It was designed to push you and put you in a position where you're connected with God, even on a closer and a deeper level. Look, our suffering makes us more like Christ. It makes us more mature. When we suffer, and we suffer faithfully, and we stay committed, right? It makes us more like Him. It makes Him move, though. Look, it develops our character, our godly integrity, when we stay faithful. Look, trials help to build our faith in the Lord. James, and this is my last verse, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 6. Look at this. Consider it nothing but joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you fall into various trials. I'm excited. You start praising and worshiping when Judas show up, when people discredit you, when people don't believe that you're called, when people don't believe that you're the sent one, when people don't see the hand of God on your life. Just because these people, they are high up, don't see the call on your life, doesn't mean that they are God's spokesperson, right? Think about that, right? Some of us are sitting because the right person didn't believe on us. The right person wouldn't mentor us, right? The right person that we thought was right flipped on us, and we thought that meant God had flipped on us. Not so, not so. Get back up. Consider it joy. I'm thinking about you. I'm with you in the fiery furnace. Like when you go, yes, turn it up even more, and I promise I'll be in there with you. Be assured that the testing of your faith through experience, you have to experience this thing, produces something called endurance, leading to spiritual maturity and inner peace. People say, how in the world am I having peace when I'm going through? Yeah. I know you're with me. Those Hebrew boys that was in the furnace by themselves at first, they couldn't do nothing but praise God. Then that fourth person showed up. God, I don't care how hot my furnace is. I'm going to praise Him so hard that you got to come down here with us. Yeah. When you're steadfast, when you're not shakeable, when you're not easily moved, God will come down and visit you. And let endurance have its perfect result. And do a thorough work. Let this thing make me better. Let it make me mature. So that you may be perfect and completely developed. We got so many underdeveloped leadership, undeveloped ministries, and unhealthy ministries, right? Let this thing develop me. Right? I want to finish this race that's set before me, right? I want to lay aside every single weight that keeps me from you. That you may be perfect and completely, no partial, completely developing your faith, lacking in nothing. This is in God now. If any of you lacks wisdom to guide him through a decision or circumstance, he is to ask of our benevolent God, who gives to everyone generously without rebuke or blame, and it will be given to him. Seek God first. Yeah. Look, but he must ask for wisdom in faith. God knows when you just ask him, you don't have any faith. But he must ask for wisdom in faith without doubting, no doubt. God's willingness to help for one who doubts is like a billowing surge of the sea that is blown about and tossed by the wind. When you have no faith, you're all over the place. A double-minded person is unstable. Some of us connected to double-minded people, right? That nothing ever goes consistently without it being up and down. This is the year that you're productive. This is the year of God is going to give to his faithful followers, right? He's releasing an overflow of blessing that it won't run out. For such a person ought not to think or expect that he will receive anything at all from the Lord, because you're doubting. Look, being a double-minded man, unstable and restless in all his ways, and everything he thinks, feels, or decides, right? And so we were talking about purposeful pain. And I'm closing. Purposeful pain. It was good that I was afflicted. God, I wouldn't want to know you. There's no way. I wouldn't want to know you if everything happened the right way, if everything worked the way I wanted it to, if I got the right job I wanted, if I went to the right school, or if I did what I want to do and I had no pain or no disappointment or no lack. But I thank you, God, that it happened. I think it was necessary for my development. Right? And we'll, like I said, we'll be doing our 2 o'clock service shortly too. So catch us at 2 o'clock. If you didn't get to come here today, inbox us. If you want us to pray for you, you can leave it on there on live as well. But we're just excited what God is doing. We excited to that this ministry is growing. We're a solid team here. We are one unit here. We don't do things alone. We don't believe in that. So we a tag team. Please support on February 8th too. My wife has been ordained as pastor. If I'm being elevated and my wife being elevated too, we don't do this whole crazy thing like that. We pastor together. We're leaders together. So we thank God for your life. We thank God for what He's doing for you and what He's going to do through you. We thank God for what's even on the way. The things that you can't even count, the things you don't have the vocabulary in you to even ask for because it's so big. We speak that over your life even now. So dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful. Lord, you're so powerful. You do the miraculous so easily, Lord. You're going to send the word and heal people. You can change a life just simply by sending your word. Send your word even out to every house, every all over this region, all over the southeast region, even now. Let it be an apostolic takeover, uprising, Lord. Let your chosen people start getting up from their pool of Bethesda right now, and picking up their beds and walking, Lord. No more hindrances, Lord. No more things keeping us from obeying you, Lord. But we shall obey you, Lord. And when we obey you, Lord, let your seasons of blessing start to overtake us even now. We pray for traveling mercies, Lord. We pray for people that wanted to come, that was unable to come, Lord. We pray for them. We speak blessings over them, Lord. We speak blessings over our 2 o'clock service, Lord. And we just thank you, Lord, for being a faithful God and a true God and the only God. As in Jesus' magnificent name I pray. Amen.
Amen.